Hey guys, Jeff here with Jeff's Custom RC, and I'm here with you today to show you how to put the control board, the JP control board, into the T-28 Carbon Z from Horizon Hobby. And it's not a complicated process. It's basically one of those things where you got to take out all the gear. You got to, cut some wires, remove some wires, solder some wires. So I'm gonna try to give you an in-depth look at how to do this because there's not really anything on YouTube as far as how to do it. So stay with me and I'll show you how this is done. All right, so first of all, guys, as you can see, this is the JP control board that we ordered from RC Castle. This is a $13 control board. It has a place for all of your retracts, and it also has a place for gear doors in case you have gear doors on an airplane. This plane, fortunately, does not have gear doors. So what I have done so far, guys, is I have removed the landing gear, the main gear, from the wing by taking all 4 of the wing screws out so I can move the wing around if need be. And I came in here and I removed the tape, which runs, as you can see, like this wing all the way over to the servo. So I removed the tape over here and I exposed the servo wire and took out 4 screws and then these 2 that hold the gear door and lifted it right out. So basically this is what we have here now, as you can see. And so what I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to be taking the gear and opening it up by removing these 4 screws, and then I can access the control module or the little board here that we want to cut out and get rid of, and then I can access these wires as well, and I'll show you what we're going to do with those. I have opened the servo up by removing the 4 screws, which are here, 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 and here, and placed them in the tray. And as you can see, here is our control board. Now this is the problem with these gear, guys. According to several guys on our show that we've talked to, this control board is the problem because it does not let this gear cycle as it should. So we're going to get rid of this, and when we install this, it's going to let the gear know when to open and also how far to travel when it opens and when it closes. So next thing we're going to be doing here is we're going to be taking out this control board right here, guys. I'm trying to do this and hold the camera too. So this is what we're going to be getting rid of. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to also cut this plastic sleeve and expose these wires. All right, so now as you can see, we have cut the plastic sleeve and we've exposed the wires inside here, which go to the motor and to the control board, from the control board to the motor. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to take our wire cutters and we are going to cut both of these leads, which this is our servo lead, and then this is basically our hot and our ground wire going to this board. So we're going to get rid of both of those. And we're going to cut them as close to the board as we can. Okay, so now you can see where I cut the leads off of the control board. And basically this was our servo lead, and this was our hot and our ground wire. And they're all cut off, and here they are right here. So now you ask, okay, what are you going to do with these? So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our servo lead, which is here, and we're going to come in here and we're going to remove our white wire, which is the signal wire. And we're just going to totally pull it out, and we're going to go all the way down into the little clip here, guys, our servo connector. And we're going to take it out, and then we're going to cut off half of this so that we only have black and red. Okay, so now I'm going to show you this one more time. This is our white wire, which is basically your signal wire. This is your hot and your ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here now and we're going to cut this servo connector, and we're going to get rid of the white and make this a 2-prong, kind of like a JST. I'm just going to take a pair of pliers and cut that off, snip it right off. Okay, so now as you can see, we cut off our white side of the servo connector, and now we are just left with the red and black, which looks like a JST, it's just black. This will be plugging into our control board because all you have is a positive and a negative. And if you notice, it says back wheel, front wheel, back wheel. So this will plug in with our positive as it is right here, just like this, and so forth. All right, guys, so now these two wires together, which are my hot and my ground, and now they go directly to the servo end that we clipped off to make basically a small two-prong lead, as you can see right here, which will plug into our control board. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this into a servo tester and let you see just how this will work. And that way you can kind of get an idea of what we're working with here and kind of see where I'm going with this. Let me move some things out of the way here. Again, I'm working with one hand. So, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this and plug this into our servo tester. And as you can see, our negative is a down, positive, and signal, which we have no signal. So we're going to make sure that our negative is down here. So we're going to plug this in like this, okay, just like that. And then we're going to power the servo tester. I'm going to turn it down, and the gear is going to open. But what's going to happen, guys, is that it's not going to know once it stops to stop getting power. That's where our control board comes into play. So what I'm going to do is unplug it when that happens. So now what I'm going to do is take this. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to plug in this. Okay, here we go. Opening, stop, and unplug this. Now, as you can see, our gear is up. So now I'm going to put that back into the plane and this gear will be done. So you see how easy that is. So we're going to unplug this, and this will plug right into our servo, into the box here. And this box will plug into our gear on our receiver. So that's how that works. So now, like I said, we're going to put this back into the airplane, run our servo lead back down and through here, and the box will be inside the plane, of course, under the wing in the fuselage, and I'll show you all that as I get to it. So now we're going to go to this gear, get this one done, and then I'll get the nose gear. Okay, guys, so we're on the second side over here now, and just to give you a little better idea, I removed the gear door this time so you could see possibly a little better with the retract down inside the wing. Here's our servo lead. Again, follow your track, which runs all the way over here and down inside the fuselage. Remove your tape gently, carefully peeling it back just as needed. And then once you take out the 4 screws here, the entire servo, as you can see, will lift right out, okay? So now that we have it out, we're gonna come in here and we're going to remove the 4 screws to get inside to the motor, and we're going to repeat the same process as we did on this side over here. So let's get it done. Okay, guys, so you know they say the more you do something, the better at it you get. Well, this is true in this case. What I have come to find out in doing the second one is you don't have to totally take this apart. Notice I only back these screws out to a certain distance, and this control board will come right out of here. It fits right in a little track. Now we can cut these leads just like we did on the other side and proceed along without having to take this totally apart, worrying about your cam falling out or your worm gear falling out of the cam. Just makes it a little easier. So another nice thing, just wanted to show you, you do not have to take these screws all the way out to access this board and to cut it off. So now we're going to cut this board off and we're going to start soldering our wires together here. Got the wings off, out of my way, sitting over here, done. Now we're going to start on the nose gear. So what I've done is I've taken this carbon plate off the top of the gear, which was sitting down here. I've pulled the lead all the way back up, as you can see here. And now what I'm going to try to do is do this without having to take so much of this apart. So we're going to try to do the same thing here. Loosen these 4 screws, open the servo slightly, and take out this control board, and then solder everything up and put it back together without having to take all of our linkages and stuff apart. I'm going to try it. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm going to see. Hopefully it will. Let's see what we can do. All right, guys, so as you can see, we're out at the field today, beautiful day. Things are turning green. We've had some rain. I was going to give you a quick overview of the inside of the T-28 with the new JP controller installed for the gear on this plane. Everything is working great. As you can see, I'm all about neatness, but this is where I installed the JP. It comes in and plugs into the gear on here on your receiver. Also, I have the 100 amp smart ESC. It's mounted to the board here with 2 screws, so it's not going anywhere. And it has a cooling fan on it as well, guys. My battery is a 6000, which I will be flying, and it lines up with the back of this board for the perfect CG. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. Great install. Gear working great now. I love this airplane. Can't tell you enough. And I just wanted it to be right. So going to be flying this one today too as well, guys. This is a great flying airplane. This is the Avios Albatross from Hobby King. Again, excellent flying twin engine plane. Has reverse ESC as well for water takeoffs. I fly it off grass a lot. I've taken off the rudder, as you can see, which is very easy to take off. But yeah, I'll be flying that today. So get some good footage today of the T-28 with the upgraded gear mod. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Dustin Holloman at Raven Rock Machine for helping me on the show a couple of weeks ago to figure out these retracts. Also, Mr. David Snyder for his recommendations and his mod info, guys, and several of you other guys out there as well. Forgive me if I forget to mention your names, but this video, I did a couple awesome airplane, guys, and thank you so much. Eflite factory retracts still were not performing properly. Sometimes they would go up, sometimes they would not. If they did go up, I had to get down to a really slow crawl while using no other surfaces to get them to go up. That's just not acceptable in a plane this nice. So therefore, what to do next? I had purchased the X-Wave all-aluminum housing retracts from Motion RC for my Hangar 9 P51 Redtail 40 size. They worked great. I was very impressed by them. So I decided, let's put them in this plane, see what happens. In doing so, I had to do several modifications to the aluminum housing, which wasn't a big deal with a Dremel. Had to do a few adjustments to the factory struts, which did fit in the existing hole on the retracts. So I'll show you what I did in part 2 of this video. Hope you take something from it. And as of right now, everything's working properly. Test flights will give me more. Stay tuned for that. All right, guys, so we're back at it again with the Carbon ZT-28. I talked to you guys on our show, Flight Club, about these RM400-90 X-Wave retracts from Motion RC. This is the box, guys. SKU number. Also, there are here's all of your measurements and everything. If you want to see the voltage and things like that, that's it. But so far, I've been very impressed by these, especially for $79 a pair, guys. So what I'm going to show you here today, I've had to really modify this aluminum, which is cool because it's aluminum. And I've had to cut some of this off to get it to fit in here. These were the original holes. So in order to match up, I had to cut some off here, which I'll show you. It came out to... You see this edge here, guys? This ear came all the way out to here. So I had to cut that off, round it, and then drill new holes here, which not a big deal. I had plenty of room. Everything fits perfectly. Now on the strut itself, I had to shorten the strut because when you insert it into the housing, it's too long. So I had to cut that off to shorten it. And then I've had to also go in here and I've had to file down or Dremel down with a grinding wheel this piece here because it wanted to hit this, and I didn't want to have to take the plastic down. Also, the back side of this strut, I've also had to file down some because it was hitting the motor and it was binding the retract. So it's just a matter of taking off a little bit of the metal, and I'll show you how good it works now. So there you can see it's working great. Now, if you notice the clearance here, that's why I had to take a little bit off of there, just because I did not want to take it off of the plastic housing. So again, yeah, but it's working great, and hopefully we'll get this other side done, and I'll walk you through it a little bit as well so you can see what I had to do here. So that's one end, and so far looking great. So I'm going to show you what I had to do on the other one. Thank you. All right, guys, so the first order of business that we've got to address is this is our new retract, and this, of course, is our factory. So as you can see, the holes are not the same, so that's going to have to be addressed. Another thing, if you notice, this retract has an indentation here for this part right here to set down in. This one does not. So again, we're going to have to cut this down. Also, this strut, if you notice, when it goes into this particular housing, okay, see it goes all the way in. Again, you see where this sits down in this little indentation. Okay, so that being said, what we've got to do is take this strut, and we've got to remove about this much of it, which is so that when it goes in here, we want it to come to the bottom of this. So as you can see, we've got to take it off about right here will be good. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Then we're going to flip it over, and we're going to start filing down this right here, because with this particular retract, it wants to sit on the motor, and we can't have that. So I'm also going to cut down this so that when it goes in here, this particular piece does not hit this. So again, it's just all, simple fixes, especially with a sander and a grinder. It's just got to be done. So the first thing we're going to do is come in here, we're going to cut this off, and I'm going to use my Dremel with my grinding tool that you can see on the end down there to do that with. So I will be right back, and I'll show you that. Okay, so here's the piece we just cut off. So as you can see, this is pretty damn hot. But we cut off this piece here. So now that this will go into this retract, it will go in as it needs to in this hole right here, and it will sit in there perfectly, and I'll show you that. Hang on one second. Okay, guys, so now as you can see, when we put this into here, and turn it around the way it's supposed to be with a flat side facing the set screws, it fits down in there perfectly, guys. It's a perfect fit now. So that being the case, now what we've got to do, excuse me, as I said earlier, when this closes, this wants to hit this piece because it's angled. This retract is also angled, but as you can see, it's got a little indentation here, and it's also flatter to the motor. This one right here has a little higher lip. So what I'm going to do is come back in here, make a line, and we're going to cut this more flat, and that way we'll have that, and then I'm going to file off some on the back of this. So I'll show you that as I do it. Okay, so now, as you can see, I have filed the entire side off of this servo down to the motor right here. So that gives me plenty of clearance. Now the next thing, if I can get this to set up here, is going to be when you put this in to the hole, it's going to want to hit. I'll see if I can do this with one hand. And this one's got a magnet in there too. Well, okay, so here's the problem. If you notice, I'm not all the way into the retract on my flat spot, right? Okay, so if you pivot this around, we're now clearing this right here. But now the problem is that this whole shaft is too thick. So now I'm going to file that down like I did the other one. And also another thing I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to take this high spot and make it flat all the way down to the end. That way our set screws fit perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And then I'm going to get the back of this filed smoother, and I'll show you what I got. Okay, guys, so now as you can see, this right here fits in here perfectly. Nothing's binding. Everything fits in there great. And I'll show you the back of this, what I did on this retract. If you've noticed, you flip this over, I sanded that pretty smooth. And you can see about how much I took off if you look at it there. And it's still, you're not going to break this with this airplane, guys. So so now if I can get this to sit up straight. Now when I slide this in, nothing is binding. Everything fits perfectly, and that works out really good. I'll show you that in just a second. Let me get the set screws. Okay, so we're going to take this, we're going to set it here, we're going to turn our knob. There it is, working perfectly. And again, when it comes down, nothing binds. So it works great. Perfect fit. So there you have it. So now, once we put this back in the plane, before I can do that, I've got to come in here and I've got to make it match this particular servo. And as you can see, guys, the motion servo is a little bit longer, so I'm going to cut off a little bit, and I'll show you that as well, just like I did with this one over here to fit perfectly. So let me take this back out and I'll show you what I got to do. Okay, so what we've got here, you can see the pencil lines, guys, that I've got on here, and here. And what we're going to do is take our grinder and we're going to cut these off, not coming back into here, but we want to stop at this little short line. And what that does is that's the edge of this casing right here. We want to save that. But pretty much these are going to be cut off almost even with the strut housing itself. And then we'll redo some holes. So I'm gonna cut these out and then I'll show you what we gotta do from there. Okay, so now as you can see where I've cut these edges off, guys. Okay, you can tell where we've cut those off. I've rounded a little bit so they fit down in the pocket just like the factory servo. These two rear holes line up perfectly in the factory. However, with the factory servo, which is here, I have had to make new holes, new marks for holes, which are here and here above my thumb. So now I'm going to drill those and I'm going to put chamfers on them because these holes also are not as big as these holes. These are 5/32. These are just slightly smaller, and also they're not chamfered as those are. So I'm going to drill this hole and I'm going to chamfer and make these just slightly bigger. All right, so now we've got all of our holes done. These were the factory holes. I put these in and also chamfered everything and made these just slightly bigger. Now if we come over here to the plane, find the pockets, voila, perfect fit. Everything lines up perfectly. Yeah, that screw will go in right there. Yeah, everything's great. So I'll show you this put in and working. All right, guys, so we've got everything in, and I just wanted to show you the finished product. As you can see, lights are blinking, everything's on. So here we go with the gear down. Right, and then gear up. And that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, so if it works right at the field, right now I'm happy. So we'll see what happens at the field. Yeah, hopefully this will solve some problems, but we'll know more when I can fly it and give you a full report. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.